This afternoon, the two suspects in an alleged poison plot appear in court. We'll show you how they're pleading.
Plus, we'll tell you how Madison schools plan to fight drug and alcohol abuse this fall.
And air quality still remains on the lower side, but it will improve this week. I'll have the full forecast coming up.
You're watching News 3 Now live at 4. Good afternoon and thanks for having us in. We begin with breaking news.
The couple accused of poisoning women in Rock and Dane counties were back in court today.
Our Ellie La Liberté was there and joins us now with what happened. Ellie?
Both Paul Van Dyne and Andrea Whitaker pleaded not guilty to all charges in Dane County today. According to court records, Van Dyne and Whitaker allegedly stalked and tried multiple times to kill two women Van Dyne had previously been on dates with. According to a criminal complaint, the two broke into cars and allegedly put cyanide and thallium in water bottles and hydrogen sulfide and Abrin in air vents. The Rock County victim says the poison put her in the hospital for 38 days. In Dane County, Van Dyne is facing one count of conspiracy to commit first-degree intentional homicide and one count of stalking. Whitaker is also facing one count of conspiracy to commit first-degree intentional homicide, one count of stalking, and one count of harboring and aiding a felon. The pair are facing additional charges in Rock County. Also in court today, Whitaker's defense moved to lower her bond, currently set in Dane County at $4 million. The judge denied that request.
She was a student, otherwise law-abiding person. She has no prior failures to appear. We are asking that the court reduce her bail to $10,000, keeping the conditions as previously set the same.
If Ms. Whitaker was willing to poison and kill a woman who she'd never met, who went on 2 dates with her boyfriend a couple years ago, what is she going to do to all of those people? Are the witnesses ever going to be safe? Is the general public ever going to be safe?
Van Dyne also pleaded not guilty in Rock County just last week. I tried to talk with his attorney after the proceedings today. He told me they will not be making a comment at this time. Reporting live outside the Dane County Courthouse, Ellie La Liberté, News 3 Now.
All right, thank you, Ellie. And if you would like to keep updated on this story, News 3 Now has been following this story all summer. You can find our previous coverage on channel3000.com, and you can receive updates as soon as we have them with the free Channel 3000 mobile app. Well, to our weather now, we are still trying to get rid of some of that haze out there. Meteorologist Jacob Montesano joins us with a look at our first warn weather.
Yeah, right now, air quality still not perfect, but it is better across a lot of the area, especially for Madison and areas to the south and west, where air quality right now at moderate levels. Now, closer to Lake Michigan, it is at the unhealthy for some level, and that includes the eastern portion of our area. And those locations are going to remain under that air quality alert until noon tomorrow. But if you take a look at places west of us where a lot of the smoke tends to move into the area, there's not a lot of smoke out there. A lot of green and yellow for areas across Iowa and Minnesota, and that is a very good sign of things to come. But we still have that air quality alert for some areas until noon tomorrow, as we will still see that wildfire smoke linger, especially for areas east of Madison. Now, as we look at the wildfire smoke forecast, Madison and areas to the south and west, we're not out of the clear yet, as we are going to see some light smoke move back into the area for Wednesday morning. But by Wednesday night and Thursday, it is going to be a lot better. Still a little smoke out there, but certainly not as much as we've seen the last couple of days. And by the weekend, it will greatly improve. I'll talk about that a little bit later, but first, here's a look at the temperatures. It has been a little bit warmer than the last couple of days, but not too bad. Temperatures right now in the middle to lower 80s. The heat index values are in the middle to upper 80s for some locations, but again, although it definitely is warm out there, it's not too bad temperature-wise, and it has been very dry, and it's going to continue to be very clear throughout to the evening. And I'll have more on when we are going to see a warm-up coming up a bit later.
All right, Jacob, thank you. A man is in jail this afternoon for allegedly stealing from Westtown Mall this morning. At about 2 o'clock, Madison police responded to the mall for a burglary. Security called police after finding broken glass near a store. And once on the scene, officers realized multiple stores had broken glass by their main entrances. They found a man leaving one of the stores with a bag full of merchandise. Police arrested him. He now faces multiple charges, including burglary.
Tonight, the DeForest Village Board will vote on whether to recall a trustee who was a prominent voice in the effort to remove fluoride from public drinking water. The petition for the recall of trustee Bill Landgraf received more than 1,500 valid signatures, and that's well over the minimum required. Efforts to recall Landgraf began earlier this year after the board narrowly voted to take fluoride out of its drinking water. The meeting starts at 6. News 3 Now's Maddie Heimsch will be there to bring us the updates.
Well, it's almost time to head back to school. Online enrollment for Madison schools opens tomorrow. Families enrolling for the first time or updating information for their kids can complete the process through Madison Schools' online enrollment platform. That page has all of the information you need about what documents are required, how your kid will get to school, and more. For help getting enrolled, there's a telephone number you can call at 608-663-4957, and you can find that number and all of the links to enroll, whether you're doing so for the first time or returning, at this story on channel3000.com.
And as the school year approaches, Madison is expanding its alcohol and drug prevention program.
Our Kyle Pazorski reports on what it entails.
Beginning this fall, the Madison Metropolitan School District will begin work expanding its alcohol and drug prevention program. This expansion will come in the form of a new staff position, which will sit down and talk to students about the risks of substances so they're more informed. Funding for this comes from grants awarded by the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction. According to the Dane County Department of Human Services, both alcohol and marijuana use amongst high schoolers have gone down over the past decade. Leah Esser, who oversees the district's support services, says they hope to continue progress preventing substance abuse through their program expansion.
So it's our job to really build that foundation of education and prevention so that we're approaching our students based on the root cause of their use of substances and not the substance itself.
Esser goes on to say that she expects this position to be filled by sometime in mid-September. In Madison, Kyle Pazorski, News 3 Now.
Kyle, thank you. The grant provides $50,000 per school year over the next 2 school years. Well, in the 608, we're looking forward to an event that's coming up to help others.
Josh Sprider shows us when and where the Iowa County Cancer Coalition's fundraiser will be later on.
Warmer weather is on the way. Meteorologist Jacob Montesano tells us how warm it will get in his first warm forecast.
Plus, after a string of recent plane evacuations, critics are sounding the alarm. What one lawmaker is demanding the FAA do, next on Live at 4.
Well, for a second day in a row, Texas Republicans were not able to move forward with a congressional redistricting plan as Democrats in that state remain out of state in protest. They fled to Illinois this week to avoid voting on the maps which were drawn at President Trump's request. Back in Texas, state House GOP leaders issued civil arrest warrants for the Democrats. The showdown has national implications ahead of next year's midterms. Some Democratic governors say they'll redraw maps as well in an effort to fight back.
Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, the House Oversight Committee is demanding to see files from the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation. And they're also seeking depositions with the Clintons and former law enforcement officials as part of a probe. Lawmakers believe it could end up showing links Epstein had to the president. This comes days after Epstein accomplice and convicted sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell was moved from a maximum security prison to a minimum security facility. The move followed meetings she and her attorney had with members of the Trump administration's Department of Justice.
Well, after a series of recent plane evacuations, critics are sounding the alarm.
Now a congresswoman is demanding the Federal Aviation Administration review and possibly update its standards. CBS News' Chris Van Cleve reports.
And you are actually on fire.
The frantic escape from American Airlines Flight 3023 late last month saw several passengers flee the plane on emergency exit slides, taking their luggage with them, as flames could be seen coming from the landing gear.
Most of the people evacuated safely, except a few people who decided to take luggage with them, and that kind of, that endangered others and endangered them.
In In April, it was flames from the engine of a Delta flight in Orlando that forced an emergency evacuation. Kyle Becker was sitting in row 35.
A little scary, just never had happened to me before. Start thinking like, okay, what's next steps? Just trying to remain calm.
And in March, another American Airlines plane experienced a fire stemming from an engine issue while parked at a gate in Denver, sending passengers running for safety, some out onto the wing of the plane to escape the smoke.
Everyone was screaming, "There's a fire, there's a fire." You know, and I
This was when you got to the gate?
Yeah, literally at the gate. And I was screaming, "Get the doors open, get the doors open."
Now, Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, the ranking Democrat on the Senate's Aviation Subcommittee, is sending this letter, first obtained by CBS News, to new FAA Administrator Brian Bedford, demanding answers, writing, "These incidents once again raise serious questions about FAA's 90-second evacuation standard, as well as FAA's assumptions about how evacuations occur in real-world conditions."
We need answers. Are the current evacuation standards, are they adequate?
Former NTSB Chair Robert Sumwalt.
It's definitely time for the FAA to go back and reassess what standards they're using for evacuations. It's been almost 35 years since those standards were published.
Senator Duckworth wants to know how long each of those evacuations took, how many children, seniors, and people with disabilities were on board. But she also wants an update on evacuation testing mandated by Congress that was supposed to simulate real-world conditions. Congress gave the FAA a year to complete it, and that deadline has passed. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
To Wall Street, U.S. stocks slipped following discouraging signs about the economy's future. The Dow dropped 62 points, the Nasdaq is down 137, and the S&P 500 is down 31.
Right now, wildfires are spreading across several states in the western U.S. In California, the Gifford fire has surpassed the size of 70,000 acres after it was first reported on Friday. Meanwhile, firefighters in Arizona are trying to fight the Dragon Bravo fire near the north rim of the Grand Canyon. The cause of the fires are unknown and come as Canada, as you know, is also seeing massive wildfires.
And we are hoping to get rid of some of that smoke that is making its way over to us, and hotter temperatures are returning. Here's Jacob Montesano.
Thanks, Brady. As we look at the three things you need to know, we are going to see less hazy skies for our area by the time we get to the end of the week, but that also will bring in some warmer temperatures as highs could hit 90 once again. And as far as rainfall goes, we're not going to see much of it this week, with rain more likely once we get to early next week. Now, I do want to start with the wildfire smoke. As I mentioned earlier, it is a little bit thicker as you get closer to Lake Michigan. Madison and areas to the west still seeing some of that haze, but not quite as bad as it was the last couple of days. But we could see some more additional smoke move back into the area early Wednesday. But then by later in the day Wednesday, it looks like we're going to see very clear conditions, maybe still some very, very light smoke, but the air quality should be pretty good at this point. And then we may see some light smoke move back into the area Thursday. But once we get to week's end, we're going to see some strong southerly winds that will certainly keep the wildfire smoke from Canada out of the area. So looking at the wind gust forecast, it's going to be pretty calm the next couple of days. Might begin to pick up a little bit for Thursday, but especially Friday, we're going to see some strong southerly winds, which again will clear out the smoke that is in our area right now. Hopefully that smoke out west doesn't drift over, and then the southerly winds will bring more smoke into the area. But it looks like this smoke that we're seeing right now will clear out of the area from these strong southerly winds that we're going to see Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But those southerly winds will also bring in those warmer temperatures. Now for tomorrow, we'll see similar conditions to today, maybe a few degrees warmer and a little bit more cloud cover, but we're certainly expecting dry conditions to continue. But as we look at the temperatures for the rest of the week, they're going to be in the middle to upper 80s for Thursday through Saturday. Friday and Saturday especially could hit the lower 90s, and we're also going to see some higher humidity values as well, so the heat index values will likely be in the middle to lower 90s. And even for next week, although we may not be quite as warm as we will be Friday and Saturday, we're still going to be above normal, where as you can see, this is the time of the year where the average high does begin to dip a little bit, as we'll go from the average high of 81 to the average high of 80 by the end of the 10-day forecast. Now, as far as rainfall goes, again, not going to see anything today or tomorrow, just a little bit of increase in clouds tomorrow, but that's about it. And overall, the rest of this week we'll see very minimal rain chances. Best chance coming Thursday night, but we will see more rain chances once we get towards early next week, beginning Saturday night and then possibly continuing into Sunday and then Monday and Tuesday as well, as those temperatures, maybe, although they're going to drop a little bit, still going to be pretty steady once we get towards the weekend and next week. But the good news is that by the weekend, it does look like we are going to see a lot better air quality.
That sounds good to me.
That is good news, yeah.
Thank you, Jacob. And we are continuing to keep you updated on the Packers preseason here on News 3 Now.
Yeah, the Pack isn't too far away now from its first preseason opener, but the team could be doing that without a key part of the defense. Our senior Packers writer, Jason Wilde, has more from Green Bay.
How you doing, everybody? It's Jason Wilde in Green Bay. 33 days. 33 days. That's how long it is until the Packers open regular season play on September 7th against the Detroit Lions at Lambeau Field, a game you'll be able to see right here on Channel 3. 33 days is what Nate Hobbs, their free agent signee at cornerback, their $48 million man, has to rehab and get healthy from a knee surgery that he underwent on Saturday to repair a small meniscus tear that he'd suffered in training camp. The Packers signed Nate Hobbs to be a crucial piece of their defense, to bring a physicality that sometimes their defense lacked last year, and now there is question about whether he'll be ready for the first game of the season. Now, again, if he's not ready for the first game, it's not the end of the world. There are 16 more after that, but you want to get off to a fast start, and you want to be able to face the Detroit Lions, the reigning NFC North champs, with all of your guys. So there is hope at Lambeau Field that he will be ready in time. There is hope that he will be able to recover and get enough practice time and be healthy enough to play. But as we all know, hope is not a strategy. Make sure you're following all of our Packers training camp coverage at channel3000.com, and make sure while you're there, you sign up for our free newsletter to get all the Packers news delivered directly to your inbox. That's it from here. We'll see you next time.
Hope is not a strategy.
Hope is our strategy.
Yeah, every day.
Yes.
Thanks, Jason. Well, still ahead, Josh previews a fundraiser coming up in a few weeks in the 608.
He sits down with the Iowa County Cancer Coalition. We'll have that when Live at 4 returns.
The Iowa County Cancer Coalition is gearing up for one of its biggest events of the year in the 608.
And they sat down with our Josh Spreiter in studio for a preview.
I've got a couple of special guests joining us in the 608 today. I want to introduce both Denise and Nancy with the Iowa County Cancer Coalition. Ladies, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk about the Iowa County Cancer Coalition. Nancy, I want to start with you. What's this group all about?
It's a nonprofit organization raising money for people that have a diagnosis of cancer in Iowa County.
So this is a unique group, and you guys have a big event coming up, Denise, that is really about giving back.
We're calling it Cancer Care Fundraiser this year is what we're calling it. It's Saturday, August 16th from 4 to 7, and we're at the Land's End Comer Activity Center this year. And we're very appreciative of Land's End of stepping up and allowing us the use of their facility this year.
It takes a group effort, and the nice thing about Iowa County is it seems like you really have the community that backs you.
Yes, and so we try to go to different communities every year so that everybody is, gets to experience this and be there and see what we have.
Yeah, share the love a little bit. And why is something, especially in this time, so important?
We just don't know who our neighbors and friends are that are battling cancer. And each and every day we wake up and we hear stories. And we try to do the very best that we can with the means of, the monies that are available to us. Each of these patients, once we have a application that has been verified by their doctor, receives $1,500. That can be in gas cards, that can be to pay a doctor bill, that can be to put food on the table. The $15 is whatever they need, and we just make the dollars work. And they can apply up to 2 additional years, so a total of 3 years is what our plan is.
And of course, this is some of the worst times of people's lives, so any little bit can help, right?
We try to keep it really, really simple. Go to IowaCountyCancerCoalition.org, and there's our application, or get a hold of one of us. We have a board that's very engaged in Iowa County. We have 14 people, and we all tend to work in our communities to find out who needs what and try to dot the I's and cross the T's.
Absolutely.
And there's no minimum financial need, or amount that you can, anybody with a cancer diagnosis can apply.
Oh, that's awesome. And obviously this event is just one day, but you guys are around 365 days of the year.
Cancer touches everyone, and it can touch on any day. And so yes, our website, and we also have a Facebook page. You can engage with both of those if you have specific questions. Our fearless leader is Connie Gard, obviously, and Connie does a lot of the day-to-day heavy lifting.
Awesome. So let's talk about the event one more time here. When can people check this out?
Okay, it is Saturday, August 16th, 4 to 7 at the Land's End Activity Center. It's called Cancer Care Fundraiser. We'll have entertainment, live and silent auction, and then obviously food.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate it. Absolutely. We'll have all of this up on channel3000.com as well. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Josh and Nancy and Denise. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, so important. Thank you.
When we come back on Live at 4, Jacob Montesano will tell us whether we can expect more of that haze in the coming days.
Plus, a former Badger is missing overseas. Arman Rahman brings us a message from his sister when we're back.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live at 4 on this Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, it's a nice day to get outside. We're still dealing with that smoke, though, unfortunately.
Yes, we are. Let's take a look outside. The weather words today. Oh, that's a pretty shot of the bridge. I think that's over by Winger Park, and you can still see a little bit of that haze in the air, but warming up are the weather words. Jacob Montesano is watching the forecast, so if you're not ready for summer to end, this is your forecast this week.
Yeah, and especially considering we are going to see better air quality by the end of the week. So if you like the warm temperatures, this weekend's looking pretty good, at least especially the end of this week. Now, right now, still dealing with some lower air quality, especially for areas near Lake Michigan, and that includes the eastern portion of our area, where a lot of the region in that unhealthy for some level. But the good news is that if you look off to the west, out in Iowa, Minnesota, a lot of yellows and a lot of greens as well. And, typically we see some of that smoke kind of move into our area from the west, and right now there's not a lot of it. So that does show that there is going to be some improvement going forward, but there still is that air quality alert for parts of our area, especially places to the east, until noon tomorrow. And Madison and areas to the west are certainly not out of the clear just yet, because we are going to see some light smoke kind of move back into the area for Wednesday morning. But by later in the day Wednesday, it's looking like the smoke will be very clear. Maybe some additional very light smoke Thursday, but for the most part, once we get towards later Wednesday and Thursday, the smoke will be a lot better, and then it will be even better from there as we get towards the weekend. Now, right now, still seeing some warm temperatures, but overall not too warm. Definitely warmer than the last couple of days, but heat index values are staying in the 80s, middle to lower 80s for the most part, and we're going to see very nice conditions this evening, other than those areas that are still dealing with the lower air quality, but we'll see clear conditions and temperatures will be pretty comfortable. But they are going to warm up by the end of the week. Also continue talking about the air quality forecast coming up a bit later.
Thank you, Jacob. Breaking news today, the man and woman charged in the alleged poison plot are choosing to plead not guilty. Today, Paul Van Dyne and Andrea Whitaker appeared in Dane County Court. Whitaker pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to commit first-degree homicide, stalking, and attempting to harbor and aid a felon. Van Dyne pleaded not guilty to charges of conspiracy to commit first-degree homicide and stalking. The two are accused of using cyanide and other chemicals to poison two women who allegedly Van Dyne previously went on dates with.
The two are also facing charges in Rock County. There, Van Dyne and Whitaker are each charged with 3 counts of attempted first-degree homicide, aggravated battery, recklessly endangering safety, and stalking. It's not clear when the pair will be back in court in Rock County, but a status conference is set for them in Dane County in October.
Well, the search is underway for a missing American journalist in Norway. He was hiking on a glacier last week.
Our Arman Rahman spoke firsthand with the hiker's sister, who says she's feeling the support from around the world, including those who grew up with them right here in Wisconsin.
Minnesota native Alec Lund graduated from the UW School of Journalism and went on to report all over the world on climate change, sometimes in very harsh conditions. Alec's sister Drew tells News 3 Now from Norway that Alec and his wife met up with the rest of the 5-sibling family for a vacation there before he planned to set out on a 4-day hike on a glacier. But after those 4 days, they didn't hear from him, and he missed his flight back.
It had been building, and then it became real, that it in fact was an emergency.
How are you still kind of holding on to hope?
Just the fact that he's very smart, he's experienced, and he has a real will to live. So I know he's out there.
The Norwegian Red Cross posted on X the search resumed Tuesday morning after difficult rainy conditions. Drew says they also sent in drones. Alec was also nominated for the Sharon Dunwoody Science Journalist in Residence in April. I spoke to the director of the School of Journalism. Hear from her tonight at 6.
Thank you, Armand. We'll see you tonight at 6. And Alex's sister asks for anyone with information or leads to please reach out to her or Alex's wife on Instagram.
Morgan Geyser, the woman involved in the infamous Slender Man stabbing in Waukesha back in 2014, is being transferred to a facility in Sun Prairie.
News 3 Now's Jalen Banks spoke with the Sun Prairie Police Department about some community concerns.
After several years of living in a psychiatric facility in Oshkosh, Morgan Geyser, one of the accomplices in 2014 Slender Man stabbing, is now headed to a facility in Sun Prairie.
Definitely, it was kind of shocking, very unsettling.
That is what one Sun Prairie resident shared with me after they heard the news that Morgan Geyser, who was one of the 2 people convicted in 2014 Slender Man stabbing, would be moving to a facility in Sun Prairie. Geyser, along with her friend, stabbed a classmate of theirs several times. I spoke with the Sun Prairie Police Department about Geyser coming to the city. They tell me they did not have much say in her transfer.
The chief and city attorney did have the opportunity to attend the court hearing, voice their concerns. Ultimately, it doesn't allow for the opportunity for the municipality to say no, in a sense. But it did allow for us to speak our concerns so that everybody could hear them. Ultimately, it's still the judge's decision.
Assistant Chief Cox tells me Thursday they will have a meeting with DHS to finalize plans for community outreach. For now, reporting in Sun Prairie, Jalen Banks, News 3 Now.
Jalen, thank you. Wisconsin will give pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly millions of dollars in performance-based tax breaks in exchange for its $4 billion investment in the state. Governor Evers made that announcement today. It comes a year after Lilly announced its expansion project in Bristol, which is expected to add 750 jobs to the area. In a statement on the tax breaks, the governor said in part, quote, coupled with our state's designation as a U.S. regional tech hub, history of game-changing innovations and world-class manufacturing, Wisconsin is proud to partner with Lilly as they make this historic investment in our communities.
Well, just as summer is getting close to the end, the DHS says there are 9 cases of measles in Wisconsin.
UW Health's Dr. Jeff Potoff stops by to tell us what we know, what you need to know before sending your children back to school.
And after days of alerts, our First Warn weather team is telling us whether there's still some wildfire smoke on the horizon. Jacob Montesano brings us the updates in his First Warn forecast.
Plus, tips from a child health expert with SSM Health on the little things you can do to get your child back in the swing of things ahead of the new school year.
As summer is getting closer to an end, there are a few things doctors say you should check off your list before sending your child back to school. On News 3 Now this morning, Kyrion Lee sat down with SSM Health family medicine physician and wellness coach, and they talked about the ways to set your kids up for success throughout the school year. One simple step, she says, you should consider making sure your child has a solid, consistent routine.
It makes them feel safe, secure, they know what to expect. And I think just setting that up, whether that looks like family meal times together, consistent bed routines, regular physical activity, those are sort of the foundations and really sets them up for just being a little bit more balanced.
For more back-to-school tips from Dr. Shaw, you can find her on Instagram at Wellness with Dr. Shaw.
And a reminder that News 3 Now is in the middle of its annual Stuff the Bus campaign. We're collecting new or gently used school supplies for Dane County kids from now until the 15th. You can drop off supplies at any Dane County Walgreens or Boys and Girls Club location. And if you can't physically drop donations off, you can support students by purchasing items from the Amazon storefront wish list. And you can find a link to that on channel3000.com. Well, coming up, we're talking about the rates of vaccines among Wisconsin kids as they get ready to head back to school.
Dr. Jeff Potoff will join us for that conversation when Live at 4 returns.
Well, recent Department of Health Services data shows that 86% of Wisconsin students had the minimum immunization requirements last school year.
And that's a 3% decrease from the previous year and below the target for measles vaccinations. Now it's raising concern now that measles is confirmed in our state. UW Health's Dr. Jeff Potoff is back to talk with us about this. Welcome back.
Hey, Dr. Potoff.
Yeah, Wisconsin did pretty well for a while avoiding this, and now here it is.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this a couple of times where measles was kind of like all over the place, Texas, even in the northern states, and it missed us, but now it hasn't. And we're worried about it, right? Because we're not a well-vaccinated state, so it kind of creates a little bit of angst about, you know, what could happen if we see more cases.
Let's look at some of the statistics from DHS because we are very low when it comes to this kind of vaccination. Why is that?
Yeah, we're the third lowest vaccinated state for measles, and I think one of the reasons that that's the case is it's very easy to get an exception to not vaccinate your child and still be able to go to school. Most states will have a medical waiver, which is a physician says, you know, in very rare instances, and even in Wisconsin, this is less than 0.5%, the vaccine is a problem for you, shouldn't get it. And then there can be religious exemptions, but even that's kind of hard because there isn't a large, major, you know, worldwide religion that completely prohibits vaccination. But in Wisconsin, they also have the personal conviction, which is kind of your get out of jail free card. If you don't want to vaccinate your child, you sign that personal conviction form. You don't have to vaccinate your child. They can still go to school.
So really, that could be anything?
Yeah, whatever we find personal conviction. That seems pretty broad.
So this is 9 cases right now in Oconto County, which is near Green Bay. Do we have any evidence that it is spreading to sites in the area, or was this a group of people that traveled somewhere else?
Yeah, so thankfully, it looks like we did get lucky this time. So they were identified as having traveled to an area that had measles. The Department of Health quickly contact traced these folks, kind of isolated them so that they weren't out in public. But you know, the concern is you know, if one person with measles goes to a movie theater, there's 100 people there that are unvaccinated. 90 of them will come down with measles. It is one of the most contagious viruses known to man.
Wow. So is that part of the message that health officials are trying to get out there? Some key things.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a wake-up call because I think, you know, before a couple of years ago, you could have probably been okay in saying, you know what, measles, like what is that? That's not a disease we have in the United States. That's like, you know, vaccines my grandparents got, and maybe made a decision not to vaccinate. But now measles is in the United States. It's all over the place, and it's in Wisconsin. That redoes the calculus on like whether it makes sense to be unvaccinated against something that caused a whole lot of problems in the 50s and 60s.
Can you get an MMR vaccine at any age? It's traditionally given to young kids, but can adults get it?
Absolutely. If you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. The other population that may want to consider it is if you were vaccinated against measles, but it was between 1963 and 1967, that vaccine wasn't quite as effective. You would likely benefit from a booster. But otherwise, if you're vaccinated, got those 2 doses, 97-98% chance that if you're in that movie theater, you're not going to get measles.
Dr. Potoff, thank you very much.
Great to see you. Thank you so much.
And let's get a check at our first foreign forecast. Here's meteorologist Jacob Montesano.
Thanks, Brady. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. We aren't going to see as hazy of skies by the time we get to the end of the week, but we are going to see warmer temperatures. Highs are expected to get near 90, and we'll also see very few chances of rainfall this week. Just some small chances, but overall we're not going to see much. Looking at the current smoke, the heaviest smoke right now is near Lake Michigan and also in the northeastern portion of Wisconsin. However, we are going to see some potentially additional smoke move in for Wednesday morning, but by Wednesday night it's expected to be very clear. And although we may see some additional light smoke move back into the area Thursday, we're still expecting very light smoke for Thursday. And then once we get to Friday and Saturday, we're going to see some pretty strong southerly winds that will really move the smoke out of the region. So until we get to that time frame, the winds are going to be very light. So although it is going to improve, it's only going to improve a little bit considering the smoke's not really going to completely move out of the area. But once those strong southerly winds kick in, it is going to push a lot of that wildfire smoke out of our area and out of Wisconsin entirely. But these strong winds are expected to bring in some warmer temperatures. Now for tomorrow, it will be a little bit warmer, but not too far off from today. Highs are expected to be in the middle to lower 80s with a little bit more cloud cover. But once we get towards the end of the week, we're going to have high temperatures near 90, especially for Friday and Saturday, which will likely lead to heat index values in the middle to lower 90s. Now for next week, it looks like it won't be quite as warm as Friday and Saturday, but still above normal for this time of the year with highs consistently in the middle 80s. Now we also will see more rainfall next week through Saturday. Just a few small chances of rainfall, best chance coming Thursday night, but the rain chances will increase for Saturday, and that's going to continue for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week. And as I mentioned, temperatures are going to remain above normal, so we likely are going to see heat index values be near 90, potentially every day from Friday through the middle of next week, as although the temperatures will drop a little bit for Sunday through Tuesday, with that rainfall we'll see an increase in the humidity levels. So we're certainly not done with summer just yet. But as I mentioned earlier, the good news is that at least right now, it looks like the air quality will be a lot better by the weekend.
This week, more than 80 comedians from across the country are gathering right here in Madison.
They're here for the city's 8th annual Comedy Week. Since its first festival in 2018, the event has sought to showcase the unique nature of comedy and what makes Madison's comedy scene so special. News 3 Now had the chance to speak with one of the event's behind-the-scenes coordinators about the importance of highlighting local comedians.
They're who is going to be up next in terms of speaking the jokes of the next generation. So it's really cool to get to watch all these people come together while they're on that journey to becoming even bigger.
The event runs through the 9th, and you can find information on where to watch the shows and learn about the lineup at MadisonComedyWeek.com.
Looks like they have quite a few people, and who doesn't love a good laugh?
Might have the next Chris Farley in that group. You never know.
Yeah.
So the heat is coming back.
Yeah, but the air quality will improve. It's like it's like we're trading one thing for another. It feels like that's been this summer because you know the last couple of days, temperature-wise, very, very nice. But we've had the lower air quality. It's like we have to compromise with the weather. All right, well, the weather's like we'll warm the temperatures up, but the air quality will improve. And then we are going to see the rain return for early next week. Could see some light rain for the rest of this week, but it looks like there's a better chance of rain for Sunday through Tuesday. But certainly not done with summer yet.
All right, thanks, Jacob. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on Live at 4, Josh Sprider takes a look at what's coming up this weekend in the 608. And he brings us 3 things for you and your family to do together. And coming up on News 3 Now at 5, Kyle Pazorski shows us how Madison schools are trying to fight drug and alcohol abuse in the new school year. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today. We love spending this time with you, and we hope to see you right back here tomorrow. You can always find us streaming 24/7 on Channel 3000+. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.